brings another bold claim from Donald Trump. The US president has said he could take the oil out of Iran and has suggested he seize Karg Island, which is crucial to Iran's oil industry. Iranian officials are reportedly telling their troops to prepare for US boots on the ground. The country's parliament speaker has promised to rain fire upon any American soldiers in a ground invasion. Atia Fard is a lawyer and a Christian campaigner who grew up in Iran. She joins us now. Good morning, Atia. I just wondered, first of all, our thoughts are with the people of Iran. How are your family, friends, and contacts bearing up right now?
Good morning. Thank you so much for your time. I get some cousins connecting every now and then and saying they're fine. And one relative had gone out of Tehran, but for medical purposes, she had to go back to Tehran, and they did actually say that it would disturb their sleep, the bombing during nights. But they seem to all be okay for now.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. But of course, these are huge days and dangerous days for many people there. Donald Trump says negotiations, both direct and non-direct, are taking place. Is the US president in control of the situation, do you think?
I pretty much think so. From the elimination of many of the Iranian leaders, to attacking various places, and the fact that the Islamic regime now is asking families to make their children as young as 12 and 11 available to be soldiers, it shows that they're actually quite weak, that they are resorting to recruiting child soldiers, which is a horrific situation. And we had an 11-year-old, Reza Jafari, who was 11-year-old, and he was registered as a child soldier, I'm told. And unfortunately, he was killed during the conflict because he went to those checking points by the Basij. So it shows that the regime is actually not strong anymore. Obviously, they continue their horrific acts. But there are reports of the various infrastructure and forces having been destroyed. So there is hope that they're weaker than before.
That's a horrific idea, isn't it? That young boys of that age would be recruited to be soldiers. How are people in Iran feeling about the war? Are people supportive of Donald Trump's actions, or how do they feel?
Sure. From people that I've directly heard, that they want the war or this military conflict to be successful and for the regime to fall. So that's one thing that I'm hearing directly from inside Iran, from some of my followers on Instagram, from some friends, relatives. But we also had reports of now some of the Iranian celebrities, saying Iran should not be invaded by foreign powers and will stand next to our people. And they also have actually shared some public statements which are pro-regime. So I guess those who want to be affiliated with the government, they're against it. And obviously there are some always who would be against the regime and would be against any military conflict. So I would imagine there would be mixed feelings, but majority that I have heard from, they want this military conflict to be successful so that the regime falls.
And what is the likelihood, if the regime falls, who will take over?
It all depends how it plays out. One of the figures is the crowned exile crown prince, who has a clear plan for transition, and he's got a team as well. And quite a lot of people are supporting him these days. But we also know that President Trump said that he wants someone from inside the country. Ultimately, I believe that it got to be the people of Iran who would determine their own political leader. And determine their political future. We'll have to see. There are obviously Kurdish forces inside Iran. There is an organization called the MEK. Unfortunately, they've got really strong lobbies outside Iran. and they have their eyes on the power, but I don't trust them, and I think they will be another Islamic kind of type regime, despite various promises. But we'll have to say, I think with the support that the exiled prince had in Iran during the mass protests, and outside Iran, and with his plan, possibly him, but who knows?
Could it be out of the frying pan into the fire? Could it be worse?
Well, people say nothing can be worse than the Islamic regime, who killed 40,000 people over 2 days, injured 330,000 over 2 days. And, we've had reports of tortures. I've had a relative being tortured by them during this mass protest, and that's horrific. I've had a number of my friends whose siblings were seriously injured by them, like pellet gun bullets at the back or in the front, in their bodies, still not able to receive treatment. They've arrested nurses, they've raped and tortured nurses who attended to the patients. They've killed patients. So what can be worse of what the Islamic regime has done? It's the hope is that whatever happened, we would have, all the people are determined for a free Iran. And what the Crown Prince is saying is that when the right time comes, when the regime's oppressive mechanisms and engines are weak, then he will make another announcement for people to go back to the streets and take control of the government. But it's quite dangerous. So he's asking people to stay at home and not go to the streets. But I think when the oppressive machinery of the regime is weak, they've got millions of people inside Iran who are thirsty for freedom, and they will go back to the streets and ready. And I've had messages from Iranians. One Iranian young man sent me a message and said, actually, how can I claim asylum in the UK? I'm currently in Iran. I don't want to come. I'm waiting for the second call by the prince to go back to the streets and take back control of our country. But if all fails, I just wanted to see if I have any backup plans to leave Iran in case the regime stays. So people are still waiting to go back to the streets. That's why we're not seeing masses and waves of asylum seekers out of Iran. It's because they're waiting to go back to the streets and take back control.
So Keir Starmer is meeting with business leaders this morning here in the UK to discuss the impacts of the conflict. What would you like him to do, both for people here in the UK, but for people in Iran who, as you say, are waiting for regime change, according to the people that you are speaking to? What should Keir Starmer do now?
I think he should expedite the legislation to be able to proscribe IRGC. The Parliament can expedite it, but he's refused to do it. IRGC has, and that's the Islamic Republic's Guard Corps, who are behind the massacre and who are actually behind some of the national security threats in the UK. They do have networks in the UK. They have connections to various bases in the UK. They have proxies here. They have assets here. We know Mojtaba Khamenei has a property portfolio of £5 million in the UK, and they have others. So why not proscribing IRGC, as a terrorist organization? And they say it's not a separate entity from the government. That's why we can't. But they can pass legislation. They can take further action. They're not. I also would like him to make his side clear in terms of the diplomats, the Islamic diplomats, and investigate why we had members of the FCDO attending the Islamic Republic's party celebrating the success of the Islamic Republic right after the massacre of the Iranian. So I want him to investigate that. And also to confiscate the assets of Mojtaba Khamenei, who is the current leader of Iran, and help the Iranian people with access to internet, collaborate, partner with the US government on that, and help the Iranian people determine their own future. He has said that it should be the Iranian people who determine their own future, but we haven't seen much practical steps from him. So that's what I would like to see him doing. Take practical steps, make Britain safer, and help the Iranian nation. I think it works both ways. The freedom of Iran works both for the best interests of the UK and the Iranian people.
And finally, Atiya, how can we be praying today?
Of course, please do pray for prisoners in Iran, but quite a number of them were out in the streets during the mass protests, but the execution of them has started. A young wrestler, a teenager, in fact, who was champion, he has been executed. And we know that there have been tortures. So please pray for their immediate release, for their protection, for their healing. Also, please pray for families inside Iran not to send their kids, and for the protection over those children, so that they wouldn't be brainwashed and their lives wouldn't put in danger. And also for this military conflict, I guess, to succeed soon so that people can retake control of Iran and finally, experience some sort of freedom and security in the region. And I hope, and also for the soldiers who are there, for families, for people in the whole region to soon experience safety and security, and that there would be friendship between Iran, the neighboring countries, the UK, the US, Israel. So we want peace and friendship, but that requires a change of the regime.
Atia Fard, thank you so much for sharing your insight with us this morning on the latest developments on the conflict in Iran. Great to speak to you as ever.